You want someone who's going to get the deal done, not someone who's going to kill the deal. Welcome to the Business Growth Masterclass, where business growth is made simple. I'm your host, Albert Gillespie.
And I'm your co-host, Kellen Ketchersid. Join us as we bring you stories from business leaders so you can learn from their wins, their losses, and everything in between.
Today's guest is our resident in-house business broker, business advisor. Welcome to the podcast, Mr. Tanner Noble.
Thank you. Thanks for having me again.
Excited to have you. In preparation for this episode, you sent me this quote, and I wanted to read it. When a business owner decides to sell, it's not just a transaction, it's a transformation. And the people they surround themselves will determine whether the transition sets them up for success or regret. And so jumping in pretty quick, who are these experts that business owners need to surround themselves when they start to entertain the thought of selling? Who are those experts they need to surround themselves with?
Yeah, so there's really 5 main experts that you want to have on your team. It's the business broker. It's a estate planning attorney. It's a CPA or tax advisor. You got a financial advisor, and then you have a M&A transaction attorney. Those are the 5 people you want to have on your team.
Okay, let's pull the thread a little bit and give me a brief definition of each of those, starting with business broker.
Yeah. Business broker, that's me. I am the quarterback. I'm the one that's going to be talking to all of those other advisors with you and making sure that we're all on the same page and working towards the same end. I'm also going to be doing that for the buyer. You know, the buyer potentially is going to have a lender and his CPA and all of those people. So I'm quarterbacking the whole situation and helping make sure we get this thing to the finish line.
Great. Okay. Then estate planning attorney, how do they fit into this picture?
Yeah, they're going to want to make sure that your wealth is protected in this transaction. So they're going to structure. They're going to want to help structure the deal the right way to preserve that wealth and make sure that it's treated right in all the different areas of legality and tax protection.
Is that a common practice, a common attorney that you find all the time? Do you use your buddy, or is that like a specialist?
No, it's definitely someone that is involved in doing this every day. It's not someone that is a criminal lawyer who can put together a contract on the side. Like, you want someone on your team who is doing this in and out every day, and they know sort of the nuances of how to not only structure the deal right, but also how to overcome obstacles throughout the transaction because they come up. And you don't want an attorney who's going to kill the deal. You want someone who's going to help you get it forward, move it forward.
Well said. And I feel like, and maybe you can correct me, that each of these 5 experts, what we mean is not only experts in that field, but experts in this transaction. Like, selling a business is a very specific niche thing that not every specialty is exposed to.
Yes, you're absolutely right. It's a different animal. It's like, we've said it before, but it's like, if you have a heart problem, do you want to go to your, family doc that he knows about hearts, but he might not have ever done a heart surgery before? Or do you want to go to a cardiac surgeon who that's what they do every single day? And this is the same thing with your business. Do you want to, a specialist or someone who's just a generalist that can sort of help?
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, keep going down. Tax advisor, CPA. I know people have, their CPA that does or maybe you do Quicken or whatever you do it yourself version. But a lot of people have their own CPA. They do their taxes, file their taxes every year. How is this different?
Yeah, and in these type of transactions where you're going to want this team, they're generally multi-million dollar transactions, and so that type of business typically has a CPA who's helping them do their tax returns and tax and accounting things, maybe some bookkeeping stuff or payroll or whatever. What you want to have on your team in this case in a transaction is someone who understands how to protect you from paying a lot of taxes. They want to help you pay as low taxes as you can, and they want to help you walk away from the table with as much profit as you can at the same time. So someone who understands, and that could be, there's like different tax strategies for different entities, a C corp versus an S corp, and there's all kinds of different ways.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many flavors of that. Whether it's how they're structuring the assets at the sale, is it all in goodwill, or is it in inventory? And you pay different taxes based on how that is booked at the close.
Yes,
and so having someone who knows what they're doing can save you hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in taxes. All right, financial advisor. What's that?
Yeah, so the financial advisors, they're going to, help you plan for the future, right? So all of a sudden you have this huge liquidity event, and is it enough for you to sustain the rest of your life? If you're retiring, are you retiring? They're just going to help you plan for what is in that next stage of life that you're going into. If it's retirement, then do you have enough to sustain yourself in that retirement, or what are you going to be investing it in? What's your strategy there? Or if you're not retiring but you're moving on to something else, then maybe it's how are you going to use the liquidity from your sale to buy the next business or do the next thing.
And then the final one is the M&A, or mergers and acquisitions and transaction attorney. What is that?
Yeah, that's that. I mean, it's similar to what we talked about earlier. It's a specific attorney who's helping you close the transaction, and so they're doing all of the documentation and paperwork to get you through the closing table and through closing. And again, that is someone that you want that has done that over and over and over and over. And there's not a whole lot of surprises that they haven't seen and can help you through.
Yeah, that was well said earlier when you said you want someone who's going to get the deal done, not someone who's going to kill the deal. Because there's so many attorneys that, they'll tell you, I'll be as mad as you want me to be, as mad as you pay me to be, is how mad I'm going to be. But you need someone who knows when and where, what to negotiate, what isn't a big deal to keep the transaction moving, because it's a complex thing that you need a team of experts to navigate, and you need someone who is going to keep it going, keep the planes on time and arriving where they're supposed to. Okay, these are, I guess, restating that we've got business broker, estate planning attorney, tax advisor, financial advisor, and M&A transaction attorney. Where do you go find these experts? I mean, we live in Lubbock, Texas, which is a big small town, multiple universities here. There's a law school here. There's a lot going on here, but finding those experts is difficult. Where do you go? Where do you start?
Yeah. So the simple answer is come to me and I'll help you. We talked about it before, but it's kind of like Lubbock is the hub city. The broker is the hub of that wheel, and connecting this. Each spoke has a different team member. So I think really that's part of my job, is to help you connect with those people. And really the simple answer is that we in Trans World have vetted people that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. And so we trust them, we know that they do good work. And so we can connect you with those people.
Yeah. And I mean, exactly like you said, this is what you do every day. You are surrounded by people who move these transactions along. We are, you know, not sharing it with any one of them in particular, but we're vetting these people at all times. And who is a good partner, who is a good partner in certain types of businesses, and really building out that stable of experts for every one of these categories. And I like the hub city. Tanner's the hub of the wheel for business transactions. And so that's a great place to start.
Yeah, and to kind of go with what you said too, like different businesses, but also different personalities. Like there's a lot of different personalities out there, and I mean, we don't necessarily steer you to one person. We're going to give you a couple to reach out to, but generally we know, man, this person's going to work really well with this person, and sometimes that helps a lot too.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, we recently, in the last 6 to 9 months, we've spent a lot of time with financial advisors and just kind of navigating that process, having some strategic conversations. And so tell me a little bit about, the opportunity therein for the financial advisors and the business owners.
Yeah, so financial advisors, man, just picture this. You're a financial advisor. You have 10 clients that own businesses, and on average those businesses are worth 2.5 million each. That's $25 million right there in untapped liquidity that you can add to your AUM as soon as they sell.
AUM.
Assets under management.
Okay.
As soon as they sell. And so if you're thinking about how do I grow my AUM by $25 million? Well, do you have 10 people that you could help them sell their business and get it right there? Or do you go spend time and money and customer acquisition costs to try to pick up however many clients that is to you? Maybe on average your client is worth $500,000. Like how many of those clients do you need versus these business owners who you have right there in your book already? You've got the relationship. And so my job there is to help your clients see that exit successfully, because they could try to go it on their own and they're probably not going to get near as much as they could if they used a broker. And or maybe the deal falls apart, or maybe they just have to close the doors. We don't want that to happen, and you don't either. So bring us in early and let us help that.
Yeah, and in a lot of our conversations with financial advisors is this is a value add piece for their business. It's an opportunity for them to have a conversation with their client and add value. Typically it's all right, what's our allocation for this year? What tax events, what capital events are going on? But this is a completely different conversation that they can have of, all right, you're getting, what is your goal with your business? Do you want to sell that? If so, let's go down, let's spend some time on that. Let's get it right. Let's get the highest value possible. And this is a valuable conversation for those advisors to have early.
Absolutely. Yeah. You say, hey, let me connect you with this CBI, Certified Business Intermediary. That's what I am. And so let me help you connect with this guy who, this is what he does for a living. He's going to help you value the company. He's going to help you market it and sell it and get you to where you want it to be.
Okay. We've said early, come in early, start this early. What does that time? I mean, what do you recommend?
The worst thing that you want to happen is for a business owner to come to me and say, hey, I'm ready to sell right now. I need to get out of this by the end of the year. That's what you call a fire sale. And typically you're going to get less for your business if you're desperate. So you want to bring me in early. And what does that mean? I mean, really, it's just the earlier the better, whether that's 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, or even 1 year out. Like, as long as I can, what the goal will be is to get in there, help you come up with what is the value today, and then, figure out what are the things you can work on to increase that value over the next X amount of years. And engaging in that process a lot earlier on in the sales process is just so beneficial to increasing value. Like I have a client right now who it's a very long-term business, third generation, and they're ready to sell. They want to sell quick, sort of quick. But the biggest thing is their main guy, their like main operations guy, wants to retire by the end of the year. And that makes it a lot different story than, if they had come to me 3 years ago and said, hey, we want to sell in 3 years. Our guy wants to retire in 3 years. Okay, well, let me help you get a plan around that, and let's help figure out what to do to solve that problem. And so now it's going to depend on the buyer how they're going to handle that, and so maybe it's worth less because of that.
Yeah, and that's where a lot of Stag business coaching comes in, is after you have that initial conversation and you put together the valuation and what needs to happen to improve the value. That's when, kind of our working relationship comes in, and we help people put together a plan and go execute on that. They need to do these 3 to 5 things to increase the value, increase the multiple on their business. And so let's go do that. And starting early, it takes time. It takes an average of how long to sell a business?
8 months.
8 months. And so it's worth spending, at least a year. Let's get in and improve the operations, put together this team, and maybe there's some different entity structures that we need to implement before that happens. Maybe there's some, financial advisor conversations that we need to have. Maybe there's, XYZ, but handling that earlier rather than in the moment when there's so much pressure on that, just yields better results, higher exit, and more money in your back pocket.
Yeah, and most of the time, it's a people issue. It's how do we solve this with people? And because in almost all businesses, labor is the biggest line item. And so, like you said, getting Stag business coaching involved is I highly recommend it. But also, I think another thing that I don't know that we've mentioned on this podcast, but as a buyer, when you go buy a business, there's a lot of buyers that are out there looking for the fax machine business that they're still, using 3-colored paper to do everything. And if you go and buy that business, if you find that gym, bring in Stag coaching right away, because they're going to help you set up a CRM. They're going to help you with so many different facets of that business that are going to just take it to the next level in an efficient way. And so anyway, that was a shameless pitch, but highly recommend Stag coaching.
I appreciate that. Another thing in these conversations with financial advisors, one thing that's come out is a lot of times, once a business owner exits, once they sell their business, they wind up changing financial advisors. And so I guess a couple of questions, why is that, and what can they do to prevent that?
That's a great question. Yeah. So I attended the International Business Broker Association conference this past year, and this was a big topic of the conference. And one of the reasons is there's a study that came out that showed there was a survey of business owners who own businesses that range in value between $5 million to $100 million. And one of the questions they asked them in the survey was, if you sell your business, would you use the same financial advisor you use now? And only 4% of them said no. Only 4% of them said no, we're not going to use the same financial advisor. So that means 96% of them said we're going to use the same financial advisor as we have now. But that's what they said in the survey. In reality, that doesn't necessarily happen at that high of a rate. And so, whenever we work with the financial advisor through this process, we want to make sure that we're looping them in and continuing the conversation with them of how we're going to plan this for their client. And we want to make sure that liquidity event stays in their AUM and doesn't go elsewhere. And so that's another piece of our puzzle that we like to help just facilitate that, and just, you bring us a referral like that, well, we want to treat you right, and we want to keep that with you and help you maintain that liquidity event.
Yeah. And in the conversations that I've had, a lot of times the reason why is they're not plugged in. The financial advisor is not a part of the conversation. They're not, helping advise along the way just because they're separate from it. And whenever they're not a part of the conversation, they're not in someone's front of mind, and so they start to have other conversations with their buddy who has this advisor there, and they sold their business and they helped him do XYZ. And I think our goal in this is to have good partners, to have a stable full of fantastic experts, especially on the financial advisor side, and involve them in the conversation. Help them add value to their client, and make everybody feel well informed, keep it simple, and navigate that relationship well. I mean, we touched on this earlier, the benefits to the financial advisor, increasing the assets under management, which is, the end all be all for financial advisors. But again, and being involved in this conversation early is just a value add touch point that a lot of other things can come out of that for the financial advisor and the client. But how would you recommend starting this conversation? How does a financial advisor broach this subject?
Yeah, I've heard multiple stories of people who say their client comes to them and they say, I'm ready to retire, and so I'm ready to sell my business. How much do I need for retirement? And their financial advisor says X. You need X, to retire on. And they say, all right, that's what I'm going to sell my business for. And that's just not practical. That's not reality. There's way more that goes into it than that. And so, again, I think it's when they start having that conversation, you can tell them that you have a trusted professional that you would like to introduce them to. And, I'm happy to get on a Zoom call to meet you in person. Like we can figure out how to do that meeting, but with you involved in it. But I mean, I think that's the first stage, but I mean, that's, if they come to you with that. But again, like Albert said earlier, like if you want to add value to your client, like start that conversation right now. It's a great touch point. You want to be able to reach out to your clients X amount of times per year or whatever and have a conversation with them. And usually it's about, well, what is the stock market doing? How does my portfolio look? If on this call now you have a reason to talk to them about, hey, I wanted to give you some value. I wanted to introduce you to this guy who he can help you figure out what your company's worth, and we can start planning for your eventual exit out of that company. That's a great touch point, and that's a lot of advisors love to have that in their pocket. So you can start that today.
I love that. And that's part of the ecosystem that we've talked about for years, is wanting to build that out, especially in West Texas, is build out that ecosystem of people that work together to lift our community up. It's the silver tsunami right now. The 50% of businesses are owned by boomers, and the youngest of them are 60 or 61 right now. And those businesses, 50% of businesses, are going to change hands in the next 10 years. And so how can we be intentional with that? Obviously, opportunistic. There's going to be businesses that really impact our community, and we want to handle that well and put good operators in place, because that makes your community thrive, survive and thrive. And so that's something we want to be intentional with, and build out this ecosystem of financial advisors that get it and care. The M&A attorneys who specialize in this and can get the job done. Tax advisors who can save people on taxes, know how to operate this. And then estate planning attorneys that just can protect your legacy, because that's exactly what this is. That's what everyone is plugged into is legacy that these business owners have built for not only themselves, but their kids and their grandkids. And how can we protect that? How can we, put our best foot forward and, likely come out with the best outcome possible? Okay. What do you want to leave listeners to this? Business owners and financial advisors listening to this. What are your parting thoughts that you want to leave with them?
I think if you're a financial advisor and you have business owner clients, introduce them to me today and let's get on a call and let's figure out what is the value of their company and what is the exit plan going forward, and how can we collaborate as a team to add the most value to that business and that business owner's wealth and legacy.
I love it. That's been a focus of ours for several months now. Is hey, let's reach out to them. Let's be as intentional as possible and protect people's legacy.
Yeah.
Well said, man. Well, I appreciate you jumping on this. I know we like to have these kind of shop talk episodes every so often.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing me on for them. They're great. I enjoy it. Have a good time, and always get some great feedback from the community.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. All right. If you are a business owner and you feel stuck in your business, you feel like your business has plateaued and you can't get to the next level, go to our website, stagcoaching.com, and in the upper right-hand corner, click to book your free consultation. And in your free consultation, we will give you the next 3 steps you need to take to get your business to the next level. It's free and it's on our website, stagcoaching.com. Thank you, and we'll see you on the next one.